a single court decision, an overwhelming vote, and a legal ripple effect that is still being debated. The Supreme Court's 8-1 decision has drawn national attention, not because it instantly rewrote every firearm law, but because it raised new legal questions that lawmakers, courts, and citizens are now trying to understand. This video is not about panic, it is not about predictions, and it is not legal advice. It is about what the decision means, what it does not mean, and why legal clarity matters when firearm rules are involved. If you care about calm, law-based explanations, subscribe to the channel for clear legal updates without fear or speculation. Let's break it down. What an 8-1 decision really signals. When the Supreme Court issues an 8-1 ruling, it often signals a strong level of agreement among the justices. Such a margin can make a decision appear especially significant at first glance. However, that level of agreement does not automatically mean the ruling creates broad, immediate, or permanent changes to the law. Many people assume, if the vote is 8-1, everything changes right away. That assumption is understandable, but it is not how the legal system actually works. An 8-1 vote can serve several different purposes. It may address a narrow legal question rather than a wide policy issue, resolve a procedural matter affecting how a case moves forward, clarify how lower courts should analyze similar cases in the future. In many situations, the real impact develops gradually as lower courts apply the ruling and as future cases test its limits. Ultimately, the legal effect depends on what the court decided and how it explained its reasoning, not simply on how many justices agreed with the outcome. Why this decision raised questions, not answers. Instead of resolving every legal question, this ruling has introduced new areas of debate within the legal system. One reason for this is that Supreme Court decisions often provide guidance rather than absolute answers. As a result, lower courts may now interpret similar cases in different ways, especially when the ruling leaves room for judgment or discretion. Judges in different jurisdictions may apply the reasoning differently based on local law and prior precedent. At the same time, state governments and regulatory agencies may begin reassessing how existing laws are enforced. This does not necessarily mean immediate changes, but it often involves internal reviews, legal consultations, and policy discussions to determine whether current practices align with the court's reasoning. Attorneys are also carefully studying the language of the decision to understand how far its logic extends. Legal arguments in future cases may test whether the ruling applies narrowly to specific facts or more broadly to related situations. This kind of legal uncertainty is common after major Supreme Court rulings. A decision can effectively close one legal door by resolving a specific issue, while opening several others by raising new questions about interpretation, enforcement, and scope. Because of this, legal experts are urging caution rather than quick conclusions. The true impact of the ruling will become clearer over time, as courts, lawmakers, and legal professionals work through its implications in real cases. What this does not do. Let's be clear about what this decision does not do, because misunderstandings often spread quickly after major court rulings. First, it does not automatically invalidate or cancel all existing firearm laws. Current regulations remain in place unless and until they are specifically changed through legislation or future court decisions. Second, it does not create a single, uniform nationwide rule overnight. The legal system does not work that way. Supreme Court rulings guide interpretation, but they rarely replace every existing statute at once. Third, it does not eliminate state or local authority. States and local governments continue to play a significant role in regulating firearms within the boundaries of constitutional law. In reality, firearm regulation remains a layered system that includes federal laws passed by Congress, state statutes that reflect local policy choices, local rules and enforcement practices, court interpretations that clarify how these laws are applied. Because of this layered structure, legal change tends to happen gradually and unevenly. Anyone claiming that everything changed instantly is oversimplifying the law and ignoring how legal systems actually operate. Real change takes time, interpretation, and additional legal process. Why wording and scope matter. Supreme Court decisions are carefully examined line by line, often long after the ruling is announced. Why does this level of scrutiny matter? Because in constitutional law, language is everything. A single sentence can limit or expand how future cases are decided. A carefully chosen phrase can influence enforcement standards across multiple jurisdictions. Even a brief footnote can guide lower courts for years when interpreting similar legal questions. Judges, attorneys, and legal scholars study these details to understand not just the outcome of a case, but the reasoning behind it. That reasoning determines how the decision will be applied in real situations over time. This is why legal professionals focus on how the court ruled, not simply on who won or lost. The vote count tells only part of the story. In many cases, the true legal impact unfolds gradually, as lower courts apply the decision in future cases and refine its meaning through continued interpretation. What happens next? After a Supreme Court ruling of this nature, a series of legal and administrative steps usually follow, rather than immediate, sweeping change. Lower courts begin reviewing pending and future cases to determine how the decision should be applied. Judges assess whether existing cases need to be paused, reconsidered, or resolved under the new legal guidance. At the same time, states often examine their current statutes and regulations to evaluate whether they remain consistent with the court's reasoning. This review process typically involves legal analysis, internal discussion, and consultation with attorneys. New legal challenges may also be filed as individuals and organizations test how far the ruling extends. These cases help define the practical limits of the decision over time. Enforcement agencies may seek clarification to ensure that their practices align with the updated legal framework in judicial interpretation. Because of these steps, the full impact of a ruling like this can take months, or even years, to become clear. That is why responsible legal coverage emphasizes process and context, rather than quick headlines or dramatic conclusions. Why this matters to everyone. You do not need to own a firearm to be affected by decisions involving firearm laws. Supreme Court rulings and other major legal decisions shape more than just ownership rules. They influence broader legal standards that courts rely on when interpreting rights and responsibilities. These decisions also affect how constitutional principles are understood and applied in everyday situations. In addition, such rulings play a role in defining the balance between individual rights and government regulation. That balance can impact public policy, law enforcement practices, and future legislation in ways that reach far beyond firearm ownership itself. Understanding how courts operate and how legal decisions take effect helps reduce confusion and limits the spread of misinformation. It also helps people avoid unnecessary legal risk caused by misunderstanding how the law works. Knowledge encourages responsibility, informed discussion, and respect for the legal process, benefiting everyone, regardless of personal involvement with firearms. The Supreme Court's 8-1 decision did not bring the discussion to an end. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new phase of legal analysis and interpretation. Major legal change rarely happens all at once. It unfolds gradually, through how courts interpret the ruling, how laws are applied in real cases, and how time shapes their impact. Understanding this process is essential to understanding what the decision truly means. If you value law-based, calm, and factual analysis, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who wants clarity rather than confusion. Because when it comes to firearm rules and the law, understanding the process matters just as much as the final outcome.